Sir, if you would, please raise your right hand and take an oath. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you'll give to the court today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, if you would, please have a seat and state and spell your name for the record, and just speak towards the microphone both now and when you're giving your answers, please.
Chris Melton, CHRISMELTON.
And Mr. Melton, where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Loganville.
All right.
South Walton County and Covington address, but I went to Loganville High School and School District.
Okay. And did you graduate from Loganville High School?
Yes, sir.
What year was it that you graduated from Loganville High School?
1996.
After you graduated from Loganville High School, did you go to college anywhere?
Yes, sir. Georgia College in Milledgeville.
Okay. Back when you were in high school, did you play any sports?
Yes, sir. Football, track, a year of golf. I was pretty busy with sports and involved with the school.
Once you got to Georgia College, where is Georgia College?
It's in Milledgeville, Georgia.
All right. When you got there, did you try to get connected with anything that was sports related?
Yes, sir. Once I was there, I wasn't on any type of sporting team, and I kind of missed the interaction. I missed being involved with the school, and I actually had a friend that I had made along the way that had come and introduced me to the cheerleading squad, and I thought that was interesting. So that's where it started there. Yes, sir.
Had you done any cheerleading before that or anything?
No, sir.
All right. Did you take to it pretty well?
I did.
Okay.
I was pretty athletic, and with the coaching and so forth and the support, it came pretty easy. Yes, sir.
Did you end up finishing your degree at Georgia College or leaving before you finished?
I left before I finished.
Okay. And so I want to go to your time while you were actually there at Georgia College. Did you ever meet a young lady by the name of Tara Baker?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How'd you meet Tara?
I met Tara through actually one of the cheerleaders I have become friends with, Phil Peavy, and his sister was Ashley Peavy, and that was one of Tara's closest friend, if not best friend, and that was how we had the introduction.
And Ashley Peavy, does she have a different name now? Is she married?
Yes, I believe it's Ashley Hall.
Okay. And if you pardon me for just a minute, I'm going to pour myself a glass of water. Would you like a glass of water?
Yes, sir, please.
So Ashley Peavy, who is Ashley Hall, now introduced the two of y'all. When you left Georgia College, where did you go?
Once I left Georgia College, I moved back home with my parents.
Right. So when you and Tara met at Georgia College, did y'all ever go on any dates or anything?
Yes, actually the first date we had was her sorority, 80 Pi sorority, formal. And she did not have a date, and I was approached, would I be interested in being her companion for the evening, and I was all for it. Yes, sir. And
okay.
That was our first date.
At the time, was Tara someone you were interested in romantically?
Before that, I would say no, sir.
Okay.
We had introductions, and I thought she was gorgeous, but I wasn't pursuing. No, sir.
Okay. And so when did your relationship become more serious after you left Georgia College?
Yes, sir. We the night of the formal, we kind of had a spark, and while I was at the school, we kind of would cross paths and so forth, but in social events and so forth, but our relationship took off after I had left, and she had moved back to her parents, and we got reconnected, and that's when it really became an exclusive relationship.
And you said when she went back to her parents, do you know where her parents were living?
Her parents lived in Lovejoy.
Okay. And do you know what she was doing when she went back home?
She went back home. She started working at a law firm, a real estate law firm.
In Lovejoy?
I believe it was.
Okay.
They're in the vicinity.
While she was at Georgia College, do you know what kind of student Tara was?
She was an incredible student.
Okay.
Sir.
How long, if you know, did it take her to graduate from Georgia College?
I believe it was early. I believe she was a year early on her graduation.
Okay. And do you know how many degrees she graduated with?
I believe 2.
All right. How did that compare to you as a student?
She outperformed me, by all means, in most, I would say.
And I'm sorry, I cut you off. You said "and most." Is
I
that
would say
right?
in most, yes, sir.
Okay. When you got home, and college didn't work out for you or wasn't for you, what were you trying to do with your life, or what did you decide to get into?
Well, I was introduced to a plumbing ad in a newspaper by my mother the first day that I made it home. I came down the stairs, and as I turned the corner, she's sitting at the dining room table with the newspaper open and had already highlighted a plumbing job that was advertised, and she said, you're getting to work.
Yeah. So you weren't just going to get to hang out and watch TV, I guess. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is that something you began to pursue kind of more seriously than just passing the time and making a little bit of money?
Yes. Once I got involved, it actually became interesting. It seemed like a different side of my brain was activated. It was actually fairly easy to me. I'm not downplaying what the tasks are, but it's something I connected with very quickly. My father's side, he was a very good engineer, fabricator, pipe fitter. He wasn't necessarily a plumber, but he could build and take down and reconstruct about anything you could think of.
Okay. And were you and your dad pretty close?
Oh, very tight.
Okay. Is he still with us?
Unfortunately, no.
Okay. And when did he pass away?
May 26th of 2024.
Okay. And so I want to get back to you and Tara's relationship as you're living with your parents and she is back home with her folks in Lovejoy. Around what year is this?
98.
Okay. Did you text a lot of people back in 1998?
I don't think I could text in 1998.
All right. So how is it that you and Tara were able to reconnect after she gets home and you're home?
While I was still at Georgia College, we had started having affections for each other. We weren't in a relationship, but each time that we crossed paths, our eyes would lock and we'd smile and spend some extended period of time together. And during that time, before she left, before I'd left, she had found me on campus and made sure that I had her information back to Lovejoy where her parents were, her phone number, her address, and she had written it on an index card. And once she handed that to me, I folded it up, put it in my wallet, and made sure I never lost it.
Okay. And so how far away from each other were y'all living during that time period?
Quite a distance.
Okay.
I would say.
As best you can recall, do you remember how long it took to drive from your parents' house to her parents' house, roughly?
Hour and a half, hour, 45 minutes.
Okay. How did the relationship progress? Was it something that started quickly or slowly, or how did that happen?
Well, it progressed with the first phone call. I reached out, and our first conversation, it was like we had been talking the whole time. And I recall spending 2+ hours with her on the phone, and it just came naturally. And I recall her just being so funny, so smart. She was intriguing. She just bragged about her family, her siblings, her parents, what they did, and the conversation would just naturally roll out, and that made me want to continue to speaking with her and further on. And then we spoke day after day after day, and then I was invited out to her home for our first visit and pretty much our first date.
Okay. After your first visit and first date, how often would y'all get to see each other in person?
On the weekends, mostly. She was working, I was working, and we would see each other like Friday night or like a Saturday night, what was available, working with our schedules. Never spent the night. It was just always a day visit, a night to the evening, and then either I would have to leave, and then we would find things to do, locally, or at her parents' house. We'd watch movies or spend some time with the family or whatnot. But that's how it slowly progressed there. So.
As you continued that relationship, did you learn anything about Tara's plans for the future?
Yes, she had admirations to go to law school, and at first I remember she wanted to be a Supreme Court justice at one point, if I'm not mistaken. And then she got into, when she was working at the real estate law firm, that sparked her interest. She started getting more involved in that, and I think she liked the, as she would say, happy law, and that kind of fit her and suited her personality better.
Okay. And so did she have plans to go to law school?
Yes, sir.
Is there anywhere in particular that she wanted to go to law school?
UGA.
All right. And is that something she was able to accomplish as far as being able to attend UGA Law School?
Yes, sir.
All right. And do you recall when it is that let me ask it this way. Did Tara end up moving out of her parents' house?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Where did she move to?
Her first apartment was Timothy Woods.
Okay. Timothy Woods, where is that? What city?
That is in Athens.
All right. And when, if you recall, did she move to Timothy Woods?
'99, I would say, around that time. 99.
Okay.
Somewhere in that area.
So when she first moved to Athens, did she move here to start law school or to start something else?
When she moved to Athens, she had a job at another law firm. Excuse me.
Was that law firm in Athens?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And do you remember how long roughly she worked there until she started law school?
Yes, sir. I would close to a year.
Okay.
I believe.
And so when is it that Tara started law school?
2000.
All right. And I want to back up and talk about what you were doing in this time frame. We talked about you had kind of found a home in plumbing. It was something that suited you and that you learned pretty quickly. Is that something that you were continuing to pursue?
Yes, sir.
All right. And so were you working for a company or how were you working as a plumber during that time period?
Okay. When I began, I worked for a company named Car Plumbing, and they had great ownership, great superintendents, great instruction, and that made things easier. And once I was there and I was exposed to the environment and blueprints and the procedures, it sparked I was a hands-on person. I liked putting things together. And so that helped me in actually pursuing plumbing in itself. I could see the potential. The owners of the business were very well off. They were very successful. So I saw a future in that, and that was a goal at that point. I could see that maybe this is something I need to stick with.
Did you ever move out of your parents' home?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And when you did, where did you move to?
I moved to Jamestown North in Athens.
Okay. Do you recall where in Athens those apartments are, or what type of residence was it?
They're more or less like townhomes, 2 stories that are close proximity attached, and South Millage Avenue is where they're located.
Okay. And when is it that you moved to Athens?
I moved to Athens in 2000.
All right. So at this point, how long had you and Tara been dating as a couple?
I would say over 2.5 years.
Okay.
At that point, around 2 years.
And so you moved to Athens when in 2000? I'm sorry.
I believe it was in April of 2000.
Okay. And so you're in Athens also. This is the first time that y'all are living back in the same town since y'all were in Georgia College. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. And it's the first time you're living in the same town since your relationship has been serious over the last 2 years or so. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. But y'all are living in 2 separate places, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. How often would you get to see Tara once you moved to Athens?
Definitely, I was happy because we did get to see each other more often. I could see her pretty frequently on a daily, if not a daily basis, multiple times a week, upwards of 5 days a week.
Okay. And so we talked about the Timothy Woods address that Tara lived in from 99 to 2000. Did she move somewhere else in Athens around the time she was starting in law school?
Yes, sir. I believe it was Deer Park.
Okay.
Referred to.
Who did she live at Deer Park with?
She lived with, at the time, Ashley Peavy and Valerie Lang. I believe it was Valerie's last name.
All right. And Ashley Peavy, you mentioned her before from Georgia College. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. How is it that Tara knew Valerie?
I believe she met her through Ashley. I think it was Ashley's old roommate, but previous roommate before.
All right. And so were Ashley and Valerie seeing anyone romantically?
Yes. Ashley was in a relationship with Chris Hall, to whom I believe who she's married to now, and they met in Milledgeville also, from my understanding. Valerie, I wasn't as familiar with their relationship, and I'm sorry, but I can't quite remember his name.
Well, that's okay. So, would you ever go over to Tara's residence once you moved to Deer Park?
Yes.
Okay. And would Tara come over to your residence at Jamestown?
Yes, sir.
Did y'all ever spend the night with each other?
Yes, sir.
All right. And so would she spend the night more often at your residence than you would at hers?
The majority of the time would be my place.
Okay. Were there times, though, when you would stay over at her place sometimes?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And were there times when you would go and hang out there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you have a key to that residence at Deer Park?
No, sir.
All right. Are you aware of any of the boyfriends having keys to that residence at Deer Park?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. So I want to talk to you a little bit about what that law school experience was like for Tara. Once she started in law school, would that have been, August of 2000? Does that sound right?
Sounds right.
Okay. What was that experience like for her as far as academically and time constraints and things like that?
It was a new challenge. Her academics previously, I would say, came pretty easily to her. And then when she started law school, it was more consuming and definitely much more of a challenge.
Okay. Is that something that kind of compressed y'all's free time?
Yes.
I can rephrase
All
the
right, I'll
question.
sustain it, allow you to rephrase if you choose to.
How did law school affect Tara's free time?
It definitely consumed more of her free time.
Okay.
She had to spend more time there.
And so at this point, you're in Athens. Where are most of your plumbing jobs happening, though?
Walton County, Gwinnett County, some in Rockdale County, and the northern side of Forsyth, and sometimes even in Hall.
Okay. So all west of Athens.
Correct.
Okay. Who were you working for back then?
Well, I started with McCart Plumbing, and I worked for them for 2.5 years, I would say. And there was a point that after I really had the hang of it, and I really knew I had a grasp, and I had been a crew leader at this point for multiple years, I decided that I think I was going to pursue a stepping stone, which at that point would be referred to as subcontracting. And so at that point, you would purchase your own vehicle, your tools, your equipment, you would have your own insurance, and you would have your own employment as far as employees that would work for you.
Okay. And so you're getting ready to try to take this next step that you just described. Is that right?
That's correct.
All right. Well, I want to back up a little bit and talk about that and kind of the broader context of you and Tara's relationship. You know, obviously, Tara's a very high-achieving person. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, sir. She is a large motivation for me to so early want to pursue the next step.
And you mentioned it right there. You called it a motivation. Were you ever intimidated or discouraged or upset by Tara's achievements?
Never.
Okay. How did you take it?
I took it as a good thing. I was supportive. I knew from the beginning her ambitions, and I always try to be supportive in any way I could. And she did the same for me.
And so, we talked about when you were at McCart, you mentioned going out on your own subcontract and you got to get all this stuff for yourself. At McCart, were you using your own money to buy gas to go to jobs and fuel, or gas to go to jobs or other supplies or anything like that? Or was that part of what was given to you?
No, sir. Once you are a crew leader, you're issued a vehicle, gas card, all your equipment, tools, fittings, and so forth. Whatever's needed to complete the job, they supply.
Okay. So who was paying for gas when you were working for McCart and living in Athens and having to travel for jobs?
When I was working for McCart, they paid for everything.
Was that the case for you as a subcontractor trying to go out on your own, or was it different?
It was different, yes, sir. And I was responsible fully for everything.
All right. And so at this time, where were your folks living?
They were living, it's a Covington address, but it's in Walton County.
Okay. And so that address, was that closer or further from most of your jobs than where you were living in Athens?
Much closer.
Okay. Based on that, did you make any decisions about how you were going to spend your time between Athens and other places?
Yes, sir. I had just started working for myself maybe a week prior. Okay. And
I'm going to stop you just a week prior to what?
To Tara's death.
Okay.
Okay. I was within within a week I had started. What I had to make a decision was to stay at my parents' due to the cost and the additional expense of the travel. I still wanted to keep my place in Athens. I had no intentions of moving from there, but I did like having my place something close to Tara, so when we did have free time, we did have a place to meet, go. I could have my own space. But during the work days, I would stay at my parents'. That way I had a truck, a trailer for hauling equipment. They had the space, and they were roughly in one direction 50 plus miles closer to most of my jobs.
Okay. And so at this point, and we're talking about January, within a couple weeks of Tara's murder, do you still have your apartment at Jamestown?
That's correct.
Okay. How was the state of you and Tara's relationship, in those months leading up to her murder?
Everything was wonderful. It was difficult for us not to see each other as much as we would have liked, but we were both in the understanding that we were pursuing future paths for us to have a better future together. And so she was supportive of my pursuits, and I would be supportive of her pursuits, but our relationship was strong.
And you mentioned in order for us to have a future together, is that something that y'all talked about, a future together?
Yes, sir.
Okay.